So by the way, if you're new to this class, I will send out the links to these recordings after the class. So you're welcome to revisit them and listen to them. And I really apologize that I did not record the meditation. So you won't have that this week, but you will have the talk. And you'll also have this, which is the dialogue period. So it's time to hear from you. And if you're new to my teaching, this is, how can I say it? You know, when we were meeting in person, I didn't give these little talks. And for some reason, it feels appropriate when we're not meeting in person to do them. Maybe I'm completely fooled about that. But what I found is that your sharing is powerful. Sometimes a student will add the thing that I didn't say that really needs to be said. And it's this mysterious thing, which I sometimes think of as group consciousness, that as a group meets, as a group gets closer, there's a certain way that we start to create a whole. And so that's also true in terms of the teaching, that you all teach as you share. And by that, I don't mean that you should try to say wise things or tell people how to meditate, or try to pretend to be a teacher. That can be somewhat obnoxious, even. But when people share from their experience, and they share from their heart what's going on with them, what's true for them, what came up this week when they did the practice, what victory they sort of felt they had around something with the practice, or a frustration, the truth really comes through in a different way. And it's enormously helpful for everybody in the class. So I say that just by way of by preface, so that, you know, you can understand. Some people have this belief that they're like taking other people's time when they share, and they're really reluctant to say anything. And I can say that in most of those cases, that's a delusion. That you may be actually sitting on the question or having the difficulty that other people really need to hear. They need to hear what you're experiencing. They might need to hear my response to it. Sometimes I barely respond. Don't be insulted if I don't respond as much to you as I do to somebody else. Sometimes I just don't have as much to say. Sometimes I feel like you're saying it just all that needs to be said. So don't feel like my response is any judgment upon anything that you say in this class. It's purely what arises. I try to be present in a really immediate way and trust emergence. Trust what emerges here to be said in response to what's emerging, you know, out there in you to be said. And I trust that something's really important being communicated there that doesn't have to pass too far through our planning intellects. All right, that was just a little introduction. So if anybody would like to speak, if you have something to add to what I said, or a question, or whatever, you can raise your hand, which is down here on the bottom under the reaction buttons at the bottom of your screen. At least on a computer, it's at the bottom of the screen. I don't know where an iPad would have it, or a phone. And you can just push raise your hand. And your hand will pop up, and you'll pop to the front of my screen with your hand raised. And even, you know, putting your hand up like this used to make my hand be raised. It's not doing it right now. Maybe it's because I'm already talking. But so you can raise your hand. If that's too complicated, just unmute yourself and you float to the top of my screen, and I see you and I call on you. So either way works in terms of chiming in. All right. So, and for this part, I like to put it on not the gallery view, but the speaker view so that I can see the person whose raised hand is raised more closely, or who's speaking. So go right ahead. Good place to begin is just what you noticed in the meditation. Okay, Jim, unmute yourself.
Hi, Mark. It's been about a year.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Yeah, it's lots. Like I said, I sold my house and I'm living at Loomis Villages in South Hadley now.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot going on with me.
Hmm.
And speaking of the body, it seems like over the last year, that's all I've been dealing with.
Yeah.
Is between Parkinson's and aging, it doesn't get any easier.
No.
But it's interesting because I said I was in Santa Fe, so I was in there. I was in Santa Fe a year ago, and I was staying with a friend, and she bought me a a massage at a place in Santa Fe, and it just so happened that the masseuse is this guy named Philip, who is one of the premier massage therapists in the area, and it was. Uh, if you've ever had a massage from somebody who knows what they're doing, it's mind altering. And uh, I was crying at the end of it. And I realized, boy, the last few years, I just needed to, all this stuff was stuck in my body and it really needed to get out. So I was back in Santa Fe last month and I was able to get 2 sessions with Philip. And uh, when I walked in there, I said, I can't turn my head other than about that. I can't lift it back. And so he really worked on my chest, my back, my shoulders. And, I walked out of there. It was amazing what he did for me. And so it was just, like you said, the human touch. I mean, it was not a gentle touch. Uh, that he needed to do. I said, just do what you feel like you need to do. And there were times when it was like it was painful, uh, but it was worth it.
You're illustrating the point about how the body holds so much, that our nervous system and body holds so much.
You know.
Yeah.
So I'm going back at Christmas, and I already have an appointment with him the day after Christmas. So it's like, uh, Philip, you're costing me, besides your fee, I have to fly all the way out here just to see you. But he just chuckled.
I'm glad you have that.
Yeah, just walking downstairs for me has become an adventure,
Mm.
especially when I was in airports and going down elevators with I'm holding some luggage. It's like, okay, I hope I can do this. And so I've started taking elevators. It's just part of the Parkinson's thing is that all this stuff, like you were talking about, it is amazing just walking when you're not getting the your brain isn't getting the right signal processing going. you really appreciate what happens when everything is working right.
Right. A lot has to happen for things
A
to work.
lot has to happen that you have no idea what's
Right.
going on. Just the feedback mechanism that not having enough dopamine production in your brain, you don't get that feedback instantly that happens. And you, you just don't realize it until you're not getting it.
Yeah. I'd be curious what you might notice if you do the softening walking.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
What your
that.
report might be of that next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my physical therapists, she said, sing like the ABC song when you're going downstairs or count. And so I do that now. And she said, when you're doing, because normally I'm watching people running up and down stairs. And it's like, because it just seems to automatic. So she said, when you're engaging another part of your brain, you're not thinking about walking, which is
Mhm.
what you need to do.
Yeah.
Because I think about walking, going downstairs, which is what you shouldn't be doing. And it does help.
Good. This is an example of not wanting to just feel the sensations.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to this.
All right.
Thanks.
Hey, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's good to have you back. Bring a little of the Southwest with you. Yeah. All right. So who else might want to chime in here? We all have these relationships with our bodies. Sometimes things are problematic. Okay, Lynn, go ahead.
Um, I wanted to say that the first time that I ever practiced walking meditation was at the retreat at the Hitchcock Center, the first one I attended, and just seemed so alien to me. I couldn't figure out what I was doing, and I'm looking forward to just the idea of walking out on the grass. We have beautiful grass here, and because in the years since then, coming into connection with the beauty of every step through some walking meditation has just been so profound and really deepened my connection to meditation and the body, because I've always found it easier to do sitting meditation, and but the walking meditation brings the whole experience into my connection to the earth. And that's very powerful. So looking forward to the softening exercises during this week. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you for what you just said. I think it's really worth saying. The walking meditation sometimes gets, um, you know, is given second place in people's minds, and it's not the case that that's really so. Um, when people think of meditation, they think of someone sitting, maybe sitting cross-legged, sitting still. That's what you do when you meditate. Um, but the walking meditation, it's just a different posture. It's one of the four postures that the Buddha recommended for meditation, which are, I'll just say, there's sitting, there's walking, there's standing, and there's lying down. And then, of course, there's all the transitions between those four postures, which is a way of saying everything your body does can be a way to meditate. But the walking, as you know, as you said, Lynn, it creates a whole different relationship with the ground. The way that we are in relationship with the ground with every step. It's a powerful teaching. And it also moves energy in a way that sitting doesn't necessarily. And for people who struggle with their mind in meditation, walking can also be helpful. There's a way that more is going on in the body to notice. And I find that I can notice thoughts easier and faster walking for some reason than with sitting. Sometimes it's easier to go off into a trance where you're thinking and you're not really noticing that you're thinking for a long time. Walking, you can break in much more quickly.
One of the things I just wanted to add, this is Roxanne,
Sure,
to
Roxanne.
what Lynn said, is that my first experience with walking meditation was at a Hitchcock Center too. And I found that not only did it bring me closer to nature, but it also helped to slow the mind down significantly.
Mhm.
Like almost time just kind of slowed. And that was very peaceful. That just making that connection just brought it down quite a notch.
Great. Yeah. When you're doing walking meditation, you're usually instructed to walk slowly, very slowly and deliberately. So that in itself really, it changes your habit,
Yeah.
the habit of walking fast and everything that's in the habit of walking fast of I've got a lot to do and I've got somewhere to get to. And this moment is just a way to get to the moment that matters. It's kind of what we say in the way that we walk, is that this moment is just a way to get to this next thing that matters, which is what I have to do there. And so walking meditation takes you out of that conditioning and makes walking itself worth doing, worthwhile. So thank you.
Can you hear me?
Can I hear you? Yes, now I can hear you.
So I've never heard of walking meditation. How do you do it?
All right. So you find a place to walk. I mean, the walking meditation that I was recommending today doesn't really isn't a formal walking. Just walk softly across your lawn, But the way you do it is just kind of find a place you can walk back and forth. And so more formal walking meditation is you walk about this pace, like lifting, moving, placing, lifting, moving, placing. I don't have my picture up, so hopefully I'm in the camera doing this. Lifting, moving, placing. It's a really unnaturally slow way to walk, but all your attention is just on the feeling of the walking, particularly the bottoms of your feet, but also, the legs, and feeling that moment of like lifting off the ground, what your foot feels like in the air, the moment that the heel touches, the way you roll across the bottom of the foot. So it becomes, instead of the breath, walking becomes the focus that grounds you in the present moment. And so you walk to the end of this little course that you've set for yourself, and you turn around and you walk back. So you walk back and forth. The Pali word for walking meditation, chankama, means literally walking back and forth. And you're not trying to get anywhere. That's important. You can do mindful walking when you're out walking the dog or you're walking to the post office or whatever you walk to. But there's a little different consciousness when you have a goal. And so in formal walking meditation, there's no goal to get anywhere. You're just walking in a back and forth just to walk. And it's helpful not to look at your feet. It's helpful to look straight ahead. sight is such a powerful thing that when you look at your feet, you tend to be focused on looking and not on feeling. So the best way to feel your feet is to not actually look at them, but to look ahead. You can kind of fix your eyes on something. It can help you to balance. Sometimes people feel like imbalanced when they're walking because you're used to walking automatically. And when you take walking off of automatic, there's an awkwardness about it. Like you don't know how to walk. You suddenly think, you're a child again and you're just learning to walk. So it can be helpful just to steady yourself, to have something ahead that you fix your gaze on. And then as you notice thoughts have taken over, you just let go of the thought and come back to the body. Walking meditation can be very helpful for just getting a sense of what you're preoccupied with, because those thoughts will keep coming up. And you'll see, despite the intention to just walk, thoughts will keep intruding. And you often will get a sense of kind of what's on your heart that way. It's helpful when you do walking meditation to do a long period. I think people often get bored and quit. And the moment when you get bored is actually a really important moment to walk through. When your mind is telling you, "Oh, I don't like this. This is kind of getting tiring. I want to go do something else." Walking through that leads to a deepening of the walking meditation. And you'll often find that your mood shifts significantly if you can walk through that. It's like dismantling I should be doing something important. I should be getting something done. I should be, there's such deep conditioning there. And so the boredom is a part of, kind of resisting what the walking is asking you to do and beginning to dismantle it a little bit. So if you can do a half an hour or do 45 minutes of walking meditation, it's quite powerful because most people will hit their boredom point before that. And so walking through the antsiness, boredom, I don't like this, why am I doing this kind of stuff, can lead to a deeper place with it.
So is the goal to be aware of what's coming up in your mind?
That's part of it. And part of it too is just to be embodied, similar to the sitting meditation. It's like to spend time in your body where you can actually know what you're feeling, know what's happening more clearly, and be grounded. So it's all of those things all at once.
Nice, thank you.
Thanks for asking the question. I sometimes assume people know things that they don't. So it's a place of questions. So we are at the end of our class for tonight. So I'll see you next Tuesday at the same time. Meanwhile, it's really helpful in these classes if you can do a daily sitting practice. It just grounds everything that we're doing here. And then also if you can do the walking homework and just come back next week and tell me about it. Tell me what you noticed. Tell me what happened. All right, everybody, be well.